Back in 1786, there was a fellow known as Chipzart. He was born. He had a brother that was born a couple decades earlier. His name was Mozart. Sometime after his death, he became famous for his music, or maybe before he died he became famous. Whatever. He was born in Vienna somewhere. But Chipzart, was born in Vienna sausage. Good. Chipzart was how to use a toilet. You want to take this toilet paper, rip a little bit off. Since this is broken, it cannot sit on there. This is toilet paper. You want to waste it there. See, there's a handle. You don't want to use your hands because there's 20 other people that use this bathroom. Take our foot. Now, back to not famous. He was an inventor. He invented the ice stone. Back then, the ice stone weighed 400 cubes. Back then, they weighed in cubes, so I really don't know what that is, but it was heavy. And in order for the ice stone to work, you had to bring it to your friend's house. If there were houses back then, there might have just been huts made out of stones. But it weighed a lot. You had to take it to whoever you wanted to talk to. You couldn't talk to them, though. You had to take some chalk. But back then it was known as rock, because the word chalk wasn't even known back then. And you had to use the rock and chisel the words in there. And then you had to show each other the ice stone so that both of you could read it. You weren't allowed to talk to each other, otherwise there'd be no point in the ice stone. It was a popular sell, but not popular enough because it went away after Chipzart died in 1817. Wow. Oh, jeez, please. Ugh, I'm so old, Chipzart is so old he can't even tell what year he died. Lols. Shaw. Mozart was his brother, or was he? I'm not sure, but he was a brother of somebody. Maybe. Chipzart and Mozart never met. Except for once. At birth. They were born. They were both born. At some point. One of them was born in Vienna somewhere. The other was born in Vienna sausage. Chipzart was born in Vienna sausage, that's right. The inventor of the ice stone. He grew up inventing things. Mozart, on the other hand, just kept inventing classicals. And more classicals. If they were called classicals, not sure what it was called really. Maybe they weren't classicals until 2015. But 2015 wasn't even invented yet, so can't even talk about that. Because back then we thought, they thought, Chipzart thought, Mozart may have even thought of this too, that flying cars and cities were in 2015. Maybe it wasn't even thought about back then. Maybe the planet was supposed to be destroyed by now. By 2015. Chipzart did have a thing for Chip's very own art. The ice stone. Boy, it was a good seller back then. But apparently it wasn't good enough. Because it died. And nothing related came out until the 20th century, I do believe, but I can't really know that for sure since we're in 1786 right now. Shortly before Chipzart's death, he discovered that they both had different parents. Mozart was really not related to Chipzart. Shaw! The ice stone was used as decoration, although I meant to use it for a telephone. But the word telephone wasn't even a word back then, or maybe it was. I cannot remember when Ben Franklin was born, or what he invented, or what anybody else invented. But the ice stone was very large, and you had to carry it around everywhere. You could send text messages, but that wasn't a word. It was called ice stone messages. But messages wasn't a word, so I have no idea what I am saying. But the ice stone was amazing. You could take it everywhere. The only way you could use it is if you were talking to the person that's standing right in front of you with your ice stone. You guys wouldn't be saying anything to each other. You'd just be using the ice stone to communicate using chalk, but chalk wasn't a word. So you'd use a rock to write your messages down and to show each other. You'd write your messages down with a chalk, but chalk wasn't a word, so it was a rock. So you used a rock to scrape your words in there, and then you'd show each other by turning around the ice stone. And they would read what you wrote, and then you would read what they wrote to you via wasn't a word, so by there, oh wait no, by there wasn't even a word either, or words, whatever. So you would read their ice stones too. Whatever they had written on theirs, you would read theirs, while they were reading yours. But you could not communicate, because what would be the point of ice stones if you were communicating to each other from right there? But remember, if you used your ice stone in another room, you could not send the messages to that person right away until you saw them next. It just wasn't feasible. But everybody bought in to the ice stone thing. And 20 years after my death, people started wondering why they were using ice stones when they could just talk to each other. So the whole ice stone thing just faded away after my death. That's when Mozart's music started playing loudly and proudly. And that's why I think we were brothers. Stop!